What's going on, Harbor Hawk fans? I'm Tim Brown here with Matt Ford Wellman and DBot, new special guest here for the parking lot preview. We've got game 34. Is that correct, ladies and
That
gentlemen?
feels like it. Yeah, game 34.
Wow. It's blasting by. We've got the Hyannis Harbor Hawks at Spillane Field taking on the Wareham Gatemen. Should be a fun one. Hawks got a tough loss yesterday, 5-4. DBot, what did you see in that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was interesting. It kind of could go both ways. It could have just as easily been, 7-2 Chatham. But at the same time, it could have really easily have been a Harbor Hawks win. There was a couple of balls that got hung up in the twilight, but they gave themselves a chance to win at the end, which, during this rough stretch, they really haven't done too much. So you kind of take that, and now you're coming off a victory in a game where you lost by 1 run, and now your chance to go up against the best in the West. It's a really good opportunity here tonight.
As you said, number 1 team in the West Division, the Harbor Hawks, sitting down at 4th place right now, still trying to stay above water, above the Falmouth Commodores, who are in that final spot and out of the playoffs right now. Matt, what are they bringing in here to try to boost their lead and keep a playoff spot late in this year?
So we're going to see Eddie Copper on the bump starting out, maybe in the second half of this inning here. In this first inning, Eddie Copper, kind of a guy who's been struggling a little bit in the ERA department, 8.5. He's given up a lot of runs. However, I don't want that to, distract anyone from the fact that he is not walking a lot of guys. 17-9 strikeout to walk ratio. Probably looking to change that a little bit, maybe towards the strikeout side. But I imagine that, obviously Eddie knows that. He wants to strike more guys out. That's going to come with feeding into his best stuff, and that's the ground ball stuff. I think this game can be really summed up in, will Hyannis' defense show up in the routine plays and make a couple extraordinary plays? There will be some, hard line drives hit if Eddie gets into the 5th inning. There will be some hard ground balls. But if this team can really show up for their pitcher tonight, I have really, high hopes for Eddie Copper. If he can live in the zone, limit those walks, he'll get his ground balls and he'll get his outs. That can give Hyannis a chance to really, stretch it with some hitters. They have an outfielder 1-2 so far. Owen Prince in center field, Parker Brocious out and left. So they're going to have, some bats in the lineup, including Jeff Luigi, who I always have to mention, and are DHing Ryan McKay. They can really lean on for some big hits, hopefully, in the middle of this game. I just imagine they got to get there.
DBot, Hawks left a lot on the table with their offense last night, especially late in the game. What do you see that they can kind of piece together and fully capitalize on in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to look at extra base hits, right? They've been able to hit, a decent amount of singles. They've been able to get on base, but runners in scoring position and then extra base hits. Can you find the gaps here? Can you split the gaps? You're not as close to the water here, so it can be a little bit more friendly and lean a little bit towards, extra base hits. So can you capitalize on that? Can you look to guys like Brocious and Luigi, as good as Luigi and McKay have been? You'd like to see a couple of, 2-baggers rather than singles. And I think if you can do that, that's the difference between scoring 5 runs and scoring, or 3 runs and scoring 5 runs.
Absolutely. And definitely a tough matchup here. As we said, number 1 team in the West. They're bringing out their starter, Logan Baisley. He's on his 2nd Summer League team of the year, played in the Florida Collegiate League for, the Winter Park Diamond Dogs.
Winter Park Diamond Dog. We need some names like that out here in the Cave League. We all have these classy names. It's too posh.
Absolutely. I mean, it is a very
Diamond
very nice
Dogs.
league. I'm loving it.
I love it.
I mean, it's getting a little scrappy in here,
I can agree
right?
with
And
that.
this is a Diamond Dog, but he didn't show his best bark down there. He got a 6.5 ERA, and up here at Wareham, he's got over an 8 ERA. He's struck out 15 batters here, walked 8, and given up 15 runs. So not exactly good splits from him so far, but definitely with a good defense behind him, anything can happen. What do you think the Harbor Hawks have to do to get through on a guy like this? Just be aggressive early?
I was going to say, I don't want to cut you off, D-Bot, but, I think getting aggressive early is the key for both of these teams. Against struggling pitchers who can give up a lot of runs, getting on them early is how you get to that bullpen. Once you get to that bullpen, you can see 4 arms. And in those 4 arms, you're probably not going to see 4 great outings, or at least 3 great outings out of the guys left. I think if whoever gets through their starter the quickest will end up having, the best day overall.
Yeah, and since he's been on Cape, he hasn't gone longer. He's made I think is his 5th start of his Cape summer, but he hasn't gone longer than 3 innings, right? So it really feels like they want him to go out and get through one time through the order efficiently, and then they'll move on to their bullpen. They don't want to push him, I think, more than a couple of times through the order. So if you can get him on him early, you can get to the bullpen really quickly. And remember, you're coming off a pretty long week here. So the bullpen's probably a little bit thin. try to get to it early, try to wear them down, and good things will happen.
Now facing off against Eddie Copper, probably the hottest offense in baseball right now. Matt, you said that they've just had exponential RBIs coming in. Guys like Chris McHugh leading the team with an 832 OPS so far this year. Behind him, Colby Turner, Braden Randall, and all-star Hayden Yost. This is a tough set of hitters. What do you think Eddie Copper's got to do today to keep focus against such a tough team?
Let's start with the obvious. Let's cut those stuff out of the way. Can't walk guys, can't hit guys with 2 strikes. You really can't afford to walk or let on 7, 8, 9 guys. Got to go get your outs, especially as, Eddie Copper isn't going to be a 2 or 3 time through the order guy. Well, let's see. But as we're pretty sure he's probably going to go maybe once, maybe twice. But you only have so many. Go at those guys. And if you got to work around guys, get ahead with a fastball. Get ahead with the fastball, get ahead with the breaker in the middle. Live and die by pitches that are going to be strikes. If you're going to give up a hit, let it be on a good hitter going out and getting his pitch. Don't get behind 1-0, 2-0. Now you got to battle back. That's how, you end up with balls in the stands where we're sitting, Tim. That's how you end up with really big hits, is by letting hitters get in accounts where they can be aggressive. If a guy's going to hit a bomb off your first pitch, shrug your shoulders, tip your cap, move on with your life. And chances are those are solo shots. You don't want to get in these bad innings where you walk a guy, you hit a guy with 2 strikes, you get a guy 2-0. Okay, now you've made 3 mistakes, and then you give up the bomb. That's when you end up in the long innings. That's when your outings get cut short.
Yeah, and then to that, I will say their order, they've lost a couple of key guys over the past few days. So this is still a team kind of regelling. The Harbor Hawks lost a lot of guys early in mid-season. As tough as that was for them, it becomes a little bit of an advantage here later on in the season, because now these guys are familiar with each other. They've been playing longer. And really, the Harbor Hawks have they've really been able to get their pick of the better players in these other leagues, the Northwoods, Coastal Plains, and what have you. So that kind of lends its way towards the Harbor Hawks as they hit this final week of the season starting on Tuesday and then getting hot into the playoffs. Meanwhile, it's an adjustment for a team in Wareham who's trying to win the division.
It's absolutely super true. I think the Hawks are kind of almost hitting a stride. It seems like the team chemistry's there. After the win, smiles all around. I don't even see that much moaning over losses. I think this team knows how to lose. I don't think a loss in the playoffs is going to kick a team out like the Harbor Hawks. It might slow down some, better playing teams, but I really do think, DBot, you're on to that. That the Hyannis team is gelling. They're making grounds, and if they can win and put together a little streak here towards the end, that could be the difference maker come playoff time.
Absolutely. Weathering the storm is an important piece in all aspects of the Cape League, whether it's roster change or just some losses here and there with continuity trying to figure itself out. But let's get to the big part of this, guys. Score prediction, player of the game. I'll start with DBot. What do you got for us?
Yeah, just over my 2 summers here, we've seen a tendency where playing at Wareham can get a little funky with the Harbor Hawks. They have a history. We saw the opening day freezing game here. And then last season, 2 games where there was 15-plus runs total in the game. I think it's going to continue that trend a little bit. I'm going to go 8-5 Hawks win.
Wow.
And then I'll give my MVP. Dobie had a beautiful swing to sending it to center and almost tying the game last night. I think he continues that up.
Chase Dobie, that's a good pick, and it's not my pick, which means, you're always welcome back on the parking lot preview if you don't take my pick. 100%. Thank you, DBot. Tim, I'm going to cut you off before you take my pick here.
Okay, great. Go
Jeff
ahead.
Lugie, the guy that hits the ball so hard. I really want to see Luge get into one and get into another one and get into another one. I just think Dayton LaChance said this in an interview 2 games ago after he had a really good DH game. I need to get my first at-bat and hit something hard. I think if Jeff can come out and hit something hard, we're going to see extra base hits like you talked about, DBot. We're going to see some big at-bats like LaChance was talking about. I got to see Jeff Lugie hitting the ball hard, and if he does, I can expect a big day from him. Score prediction, I'm with DBot here. I think, the pitching staff is going to be a bullpen game. It's going to be a game of crafting a good plan together on the fly, something Mitch Carricker does, in my opinion, pretty well. So I really do think, it'll be a high score, but Carricker's going to keep it close with his, pitching mindset. He's a good catcher in, his baseball career. We're going to go 9-6. I'm going to go a little higher than you. I hope it's a big scoring game. I hope it goes back and forth a lot. Hyannis coming out 9-6.
Well, I'm definitely favoring that high scoring idea, especially with the pitching matchup for both teams, as you said. I'm going to get a little bit more wild with it. I'm going to say it's a 10-8 Hyannis win.
Awesome.
Couple of big innings in there for the Hawks, but out of anyone who I think is going to activate this offense. I think it's going to be Owen Prince. He's got big speed out of that leadoff spot. He's going to terrorize the base paths today, and I think he's just going to be a problem overall. I mean, if he deposits the ball into the outfield, he can be on second base like that. So overall, just his start to the offensive fire is going to be able to continue through the lineup that's really hungry coming
So, Tim,
into today.
do you expect some first-run innings then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I love that.
I like it.
Predicting it. We're going to see some action early.
Yes, sir.
Let's get your butts in seats.
Yeah.
Catch this action.
Matt, I think there's one thing left to say.
There's one thing left to
Just
say,
learned
guys.
this yesterday.
You ready?
Think so.
You ready?
All right.
Okay. Go Hawks!
Yeah.